Bore da pawb. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my Wild Welsh Garden. Rather sooner than some of you were expecting, and maybe I was intending, I think. But the thing is, there are interesting things happening in the garden, which I'd like to share with you. I thought you might be interested in seeing what has happened with the hardy geraniums that I cut back quite a few weeks ago now. This is geranium Roseanne, and it just flowers and flowers all summer. It has an RHS award of garden merit for that very reason, I think, and the fact that it doesn't have many pests and it's good for pollinators. But this one was absolutely huge and grew, I don't know, 2 foot tall and right over the path. And yeah, so I cut it right back to the ground, and it's grown this nice sort of tidy mound of new foliage, but there are no flowers. And then the other side of the path, just a bit higher up, there's this hardy geranium, which I think is Geranium oxonianum wargrave pink. And I think this is the geranium that when Marjorie Fish was asked what sort of plant what was her go-to plant, she said it was this. She said, when in doubt, plant a hardy geranium. And she was meaning this one because it just grows anywhere, in full sun and in shade, and grows and grows. And what you do is when it gets too big, you just divide it, and then you've got, several plants. But this one was growing right out over the path and was very unruly, so I cut it right back. And again, it's rewarded me with this nice new mound of foliage. And again, no flowers. And in the secret garden, just behind the table here, the breakfast table, this is a wargrave pink that I didn't cut back. And I've still got a nice new mound of foliage. And I've also got the old foliage that I didn't cut back. And I still got a flower. And the bees were visiting this until last week, until the rains came. And then here at the top of the garden, by the greenhouse next to the pond, is the geranium Roseanne that I didn't cut back in the summer. This has featured such a lot in my videos. And there's still flowers, there's new foliage, but then there's this lovely mound of old foliage which is turning this lovely autumn colours. All different hues of browns and reds and yellows and oranges and greens. And if I'm going to ask myself the question, which is best for wildlife, is it this geranium Roseanne that I cut back in the summer? Or is it this geranium Roseanne that I didn't cut back in the summer? And, well, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious to me anyway that this one is better for wildlife. It's still got flowers, and it's got lots of habitat for the sorts of little creatures that want to hide away that, of course, the birds feed on. And I think it's more attractive. I do. I think this is really beautiful. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. Just to prove my point, there's a common carder bee still visiting the flowers. And look what else I've just seen. A lovely, lovely moth just resting on a leaf. So yeah, the weather has taken a turn for the worst, I'm afraid. But last weekend, I did something quite exciting. I went to a wildflower nursery down near Swansea. I did buy some things from them in the spring, but I went on a visit with one of the wildlife trusts, and so we had a talk from the owners, and it was really very fascinating. They grow a lot of wildflowers for sort of conservation projects. So, nature reserves where they're trying to increase a species like the marsh fritillary, where they need lots and lots of devil's bit scabious. And so they've grown thousands of devil's bit scabious. But all their seeds are sourced locally. And, I learnt something quite alarming, really, that, if you buy wildflower seeds and often wildflower plants, they're not actually wild to the country where you live. So, not wild to the UK necessarily, never mind Wales. Whereas if you buy them from them, then you know that they're sourced from South Wales. They've gathered the seeds themselves and they've grown them themselves. And so the plants are, sort of evolved to live in South Wales, whereas some of the wildflowers that you buy, they're evolved to live in Turkey. And I was very excited to buy this little tree. This is an alder buckthorn. Now, do you remember that fabulously beautiful big yellow butterfly that was in the garden last week? The yellow brimstone. Well, this is the only larval food plant of the yellow brimstone. And it's also very good for insects because it has flowers that are very attractive to insects. And then it produces these berries. They start off red and then they turn black, which the birds love. And she told me that they're actually very easy to propagate. So if you take one of the fruit and squish it, there are these seeds inside, and these are very dormant at the moment. So you have to break their dormancy, and you do that by soaking them in water for 4 days, 3 or 4 days, and then drying them off, taking them out of the water, drying them off, and putting them in a poly bag in the fridge for a few weeks. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and propagate some alder buckthorn and plant them around. I have one in the garden and some over the road, and see if we can make life better for the yellow brimstone butterfly. So there are the alder buckthorn seeds in some water, and I shall put those on my kitchen window ledge by the sink so I won't forget about them. And then in a few days' time I'll take them out, dry them off and put them in the fridge. And I've also bought a few plants to add to the meadow areas of my lawn. This is a meadow cranesbill, and the cranesbill is sort of the wild hardy geranium, and it lives in a meadow, as its name suggests. And I thought, well, it'll go quite well in my little meadow area. Placed one over there, and then these other ones are cowslips. Well, I had identified some cowslips in a verge nearby, and I was just waiting for the seeds to ripen and become collectible. And of course, somebody's been along with a strimmer, so I've lost them. And I bought myself these 3 to go into the lawn. So they've been grown from seed collected in this area somewhere, so they should be okay. You can see how much rain we've had. The bird bath is full to overflowing. So I've kind of been waiting really for the rain to stop to come out and plant them. And it has stopped, but It's a little bit late now, and so I don't think they're going to get planted today. But as long as I plant them within the next few weeks or so, give them time to establish before winter. Well, the rain stopped and I got blue sky, and it's the end of September, so I've decided to start to feed the birds again. And I can't find the tray to my bird table, so that's annoying. So just as an interim measure, I've just put some sunflower hearts and some mealworms on this little step ladder. This is where the aeoniums live during the summer, and it normally leans against the wall. So I've just put that there. I'm going to go in and have my breakfast and see who finds them first. So a great tit was the first little bird to find the food. I'm filming through my kitchen window, so it's a little bit blurry, and I think you can see probably the reflections of my sink. And then the next little bird was a chaffinch. This is a cock chaffinch, a male, and I don't see them that often in the garden, so that was a nice surprise. And then this is a female sparrow who found it next. And then the bully boys arrive, of course. You know, starlings have been quite scarce in the garden all summer. I've only ever seen sort of one or two. Certainly not a great crowd like this. And then as soon as I put the food out, they arrive. Some of the foliage is really starting to turn now. Lovely, lovely autumn colours. Especially when you get a bit of sunshine on them. I've been cleaning out the bird boxes in my garden, and the robins made 4 attempts at nests, and I've lined them all up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was the first one. This was in the watering can. Now, they did fledge, but I don't think that they survived very long. This little nest here was in a little tiny box behind the potting shed, and I don't think anything came of that. That was a very half-hearted attempt. This was in the pot store, the other side of the potting shed, and they did lay eggs, and the eggs hatched, but then they just abandoned the nest, which was very sad. And then this was the last attempt. This was in the posh robin box that cost a lot of money, on the fence behind the polytunnel, and that was successful, and those baby robins did get away. So it was it was an emotional roller coaster of a year where robins are concerned, I have to tell you, but it had a happy ending. And then this little one is actually a blue tit, I think. They made it in the box on the trellis, but I don't think they decided to use it. So yes, and other than that, none of the boxes in my garden have been used at all. So that's the box that the blue tits made a nest in, although they didn't use it. It's on the trellis behind the rambling rosy and a honeysuckle and another plant. I'm not entirely sure what it is. And the only reason I can think that the boxes aren't used is that I'm surrounded by ancient woodland that isn't managed. So there's a lot of standing deadwood and obviously lots of nesting sites for blue tits and great tits. And there's another box in all that honeysuckle on the side of the summer house. Yes, I think nesting sites are one of the things that limits populations of little birds like blue tits, as well as food, of course. And, you know, I think there's just plenty of nesting sites around here, so they don't need to use my boxes. So thanks for visiting me again in my Wild Welsh Garden. I know I said in my last video that I would only be posting once a month. Well, that hasn't worked already, has it? So, yes, I think the thing is, I'm going to post when I've got something interesting to show you. And given past experience, that may well be every week, but I'm not sort of going to guarantee it. So, yeah, you know, if you'd like to follow me on my continuing exciting journey wilding my garden, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Hwyl fawr!